The room was too quiet for a deal worth $1 million. Not the comfortable kind of quiet. The dangerous kind. Across the polished table sat men in tailored suits, their expressions unreadable, their eyes sharp. Every second that passed without a word felt heavier than the last. The billionaire at the head of the table adjusted his cufflinks for the third time in a minute. His breathing was steady on the outside, but inside, his mind was racing. This was not supposed to happen. Everything had been planned down to the smallest detail. The venue, the timing, the contracts, the numbers, even the tone of voice he would use when delivering the final proposal. He had negotiated deals on 3 continents, crushed rivals twice his size, and turned near-bankrupt ventures into empires. But one thing was missing. The translator. Traffic delay, the assistant had whispered earlier. 5 minutes, maybe 10. That had been 20 minutes ago. Now the investors were exchanging glances. Subtle, silent, the kind that didn't need words to communicate impatience. Or worse, doubt. The billionaire cleared his throat and offered a polite smile, hoping confidence could replace language. He tried a few rehearsed phrases in their language. The pronunciation came out stiff, awkward. One of the men raised an eyebrow. Another leaned back in his chair. The smile froze. This was slipping. He could feel it. Years of work balanced on a fragile moment, and it was cracking because of something so small, so humiliating. Language. Not money. Not strategy. Not power. Language. A waiter pushed a cart quietly along the wall. Glasses clinked softly. The billionaire's gaze flickered toward the door again, hoping, almost begging, to see the translator rush in. Nothing. The lead investor finally spoke, his tone calm but firm. The billionaire didn't understand the words, but he understood the message. This meeting was reaching its limit. He swallowed. This wasn't just a deal. This deal would open doors into markets no one else had access to. Lose this, and competitors would circle like sharks. His reputation, carefully built over decades, would take a hit. And for the first time in years, he felt powerless. Then, from the side of the room, a voice spoke. Soft, clear, confident. Excuse me, may I translate? Everyone turned. The voice belonged to the waitress. She stood near the refreshment table, still holding a tray. Early 20s, simple uniform, hair tied neatly back. The kind of person everyone sees but no one notices. The kind of person no one expects to interrupt $1 million negotiation. The billionaire blinked, certain he had misheard. The lead investor looked amused. You speak our language? He asked. She nodded, calmly, fluently. Silence fell again, but this time, it was different. The billionaire hesitated. His instincts screamed risk. This was not protocol. This was not safe. But time was gone. Options were gone. He gave a slow nod. Please, he said. She set the tray down gently, stepped forward, and took a position just behind him. Not above, not in front, exactly where she needed to be. The investor spoke again. She translated instantly, perfectly. No hesitation, no searching for words. Not just literal translation, but meaning, tone, intention. The billionaire straightened in his chair. He spoke. She translated. The rhythm changed. What had been broken suddenly began to flow. The investors leaned forward now. Pens moved. Expressions softened. Questions came faster, sharper. She kept up with all of it. Numbers, legal terms, subtle humor, cultural nuances that even professional translators sometimes missed. She adjusted phrasing without changing intent, smoothing edges before they could cut. At one point, the billionaire said something that could have sounded arrogant if translated directly. She softened it, without losing strength. The lead investor smiled. The billionaire noticed, and something shifted inside him. He stopped panicking. He started leading. Minutes turned into an hour. Coffee went untouched. No one checked their phone. The room felt alive now, charged with possibility. Finally, the lead investor placed his pen down. He spoke slowly. The waitress translated. We are satisfied. We will proceed. For a heartbeat, the billionaire didn't move. Then he exhaled. The tension that had been crushing his chest released all at once. He smiled, not the practiced smile of negotiations, but a real one. He stood, extending his hand. The deal was saved. No, the deal was won. As contracts were gathered and chairs pushed back, the billionaire turned toward the waitress. She was already stepping away, returning to her tray as if nothing extraordinary had happened. "Wait," he said. She stopped. "What's your name?" he asked. She told him. "Where did you learn a language like that?" She hesitated for a moment. "My father," she said. "He worked overseas. He used to practice with me every night." Said language was a kind of power. The billionaire nodded slowly. "You just proved that," he said. He reached into his jacket and handed her his card. "If you're ever interested in something beyond waitressing," he added, "call me." She looked at the card. Then at him. "Thank you," she said simply. Later that evening, alone in his hotel room, the billionaire replayed the moment again and again. Not the numbers, not the signatures, the moment he realized how close he had been to losing everything. And the moment a person with no title, no power, no seat at the table had changed the outcome. Weeks passed, then months. The waitress did call. She no longer wore a uniform. She sat in meetings now. Different rooms, bigger tables. She became indispensable, not just for her language, but for her understanding of people. The billionaire watched her rise quietly, efficiently. And every time he entered a negotiation, no matter how powerful the room felt, he remembered that day. The day a deal worth millions nearly collapsed because of pride and assumptions. The day he learned that brilliance doesn't always arrive in a suit. Sometimes, it arrives carrying a tray.